All right, Ron. Sporting the polka dots. I like it, Ron. I like it. Guys, this is my first enduro ever. I'm super excited. Been wanting to do one of these for a long time. However, I wish somebody would have warned me about how grueling this race was. By the end of the day, my bike was beat up. I was beat up. I almost quit. Well, almost. Oh, daddy! Second place. Boy, how do you like them apples? I like them apples. Those are good apples. Boy, I wasn't expecting a second place. That's only the second time I've ever got one of those, so that felt pretty good. And man, what a track. Tons of tight single track racing in this one. But a lot of it was flowing as well, so you could keep your speed up in sections. And then some of it was super tight where you really had to slow down. I was hitting my bark busters off of trees right and left. And man, what a race. And this type of riding will really wear you out if you're not used to it. I'm used to racing mid-east. It's a little bit more open and flowy trails. So it just made it that much harder to get through the day. And the day was long, like really long. Like we showed up at 8 in the morning at the racetrack, and we didn't leave until, well, we didn't get done racing until 4:15. So for that last section, I mean, I was just completely wiped. I didn't have any energy at all. I didn't know if I was going to be able to finish the race, but I just kept moving, kept going forward until I got to the checkpoint, and man, it felt good to finish that race. It's almost kind of like doing 2 hair scrambles in one day. I mean, it is brutal. But anyways, I have a little fobble there. Fobble, bobble, wobble. Oh, then there's Gareth. He did too, so I got to pass him right there. And let me just give you the rundown. So we start on row 59, okay? And in our row, we have Ron, who's an A rider, and Gareth and I, who are both C riders. As it turns out, Gareth and I are pretty evenly matched when it comes to wood racing. So we had a ton of fun going back and forth, racing each other the entire day. And the format of these enduros is really kind of cool because after you get done with each section, you get to stop and hang out with your buddies and talk about the section that you just went through, which is really kind of fun compared to, you know, your typical hair scramble that I'm doing. You're racing for an hour and a half and 2 hours, and then you talk about the whole race after the race with your buddies. This was kind of cool to do it this way, so it was different, and I do have some good racing battles with Gareth later on here in the video. I know at this point he's behind me, so I'm trying to keep my speed up. And it's kind of interesting because after you get through the first couple sections, you start to get into this pattern where, you know, once you race for a little bit, you're going to pass this guy, and then you're going to have 2 guys pass you, and then you're going to pass another guy. And it seems like it keeps going like that all day long because there's, you know, different classes and different speeds of riders mixed all throughout the start of the race. So it was kind of cool. I kind of liked that. And, you know, it worked out well for me because the guys that were passing me were a lot faster than me. So when I heard them coming, I would just kind of like peel off into the woods and they'd go zipping right by and I'd be right back on the trail. And then same thing with the guys that I was passing. They were super cool about it too, and they would just pull over and let me go. And so it worked out really cool. It was fun. So temperature for the race today was a little on the warm side. I'm going to guess it was in the high 80s or 90s with a little bit high humidity. So that was definitely a factor, especially when you're talking about racing all day. You gotta pace yourself at least a little bit because you want to be able to finish that last section, and it's a long day, so you got to be drinking water the entire day. I kind of made a mistake of during my lunch break, I grabbed one of those little mini Red Bulls to give me a little energy to get through the day, and man, I'm telling you what, I started cramping up like I've never cramped up before. and I guess it's just from the caffeine, and I wish I wouldn't have drank it. So lesson learned, next time just drink water and keep yourself hydrated all day long, because those cramps were really inconvenient. You end up having to stand up on your bike when you really should be sitting down in sections, and it really slowed me down a little bit. But I'll tell you what, these Greenville Enduro riders, they sure know how to build some good trails for riding and racing on. Would definitely be fun to come out here someday and ride with those guys. There was a couple really cool sections too that I didn't get on film. Like I said, the race was incredibly long, and the battery life on the GoPro is typically like an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on your settings. So, you know, I missed out on some really cool spots that I was like, you know, that would have been really cool to show everyone. So I pretty much just filmed the first and the second section that we went through. I guess when I came into this Enduro, I was just kind of thinking the sections would be a whole lot shorter. Like, I don't know what I was thinking, maybe like 5 or 6 mile sections, but there might have been one shorter section like that, but most of our trails were long trails, like 11 miles plus. So it was a workout. And if you watched my last video, I was complaining about the my blisters I was having on my hands. I ended up getting some new grips, these cushion grips, and I put those on. I got new tires on the bike, and man, what a difference. So my hands were fine, and I also was trying to loosen up my grip a little bit and not have the death grip on the bike, which you couldn't have if you're riding for 4+ hours today. You couldn't be death gripping it the whole time. So loosen up the grip, got the new grips on. The tires were hooking up awesome. I got the Dunlop AT81 on the back and the Bridgestone M59 up front. And I really like this package on the bike. It feels a lot better than what I had on it. And then I think it gave me a whole lot more confidence too, because I was really able to push the bike a whole lot harder than I'm used to. And I felt fast, and it was good. So we got Harrisbridge coming up for my next race this weekend with Mid-East. So that'll be a lot of fun to see how I do with that, the new bike setup. Looking forward to that race for sure. Before the race, they were talking about one section was just getting clear cut a few days prior to the race, and they were out there trying to trim it as much as they could and get logs out of the way. I'm guessing this might have been that section, but they cleaned it up just fine. All right, and next up here, I'm going to switch over to the second segment of the race here.
Hey Gareth, you go first, all right? Just don't mess up.
I'm always full of good advice at the start of a race. And here we go. My mission is to try to keep Gareth in my sights for this whole lap.
My toe on a tree.
All right, that slowed me down a little bit here. Let me fast forward a minute or two. And I'm trying to get Gareth back in my sights. I can just see him a little bit up ahead. And I'm going to go ahead and try and reel him back in. Adjust the camera a little bit there. Oh, hotline. Gotta use them. That helped out a little bit there. Close the gap. Here's another quick little hotline. Oh boy, now I'm on them. Now I just gotta sit behind them and wait for them to make a mistake. And I tell you, it's always easier if you're behind somebody that's about your speed. Then you can just kind of relax a little bit and just keep the pace with them. And hopefully if they go the wrong way, you don't follow them. So that happened a couple times during this race. Not necessarily with Gareth, but just with other guys. I mean, it wasn't marked super good in a couple spots, and I got lost probably like, I don't know, 5 or 6 times where I had to turn around and come back. Gareth hits a root there, washes his back tire out, and I get the pass. now I got to keep the speed up because I know he's going to be hot on my tail for the rest of the lap. And I'll tell you what, I'll just end the video with this one last segment. And hope you guys like it. Please like or comment. And I'll see you next race.